How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to a new video here for round 7 of the RTA IndyCar series from the Phoenix Oval, and we're getting started here very nicely with Nicky Meredith not holding his brakes and just sliding down across the track, making us crash. Yeah, in qualifying here, open qualifying on an oval, just like it was at Indianapolis, which is definitely a decision, but unlike at Indianapolis where, as Nicky goes for another spin there, kind of distracting us, but yeah, unlike at Indy where you needed slipstream to have a good qualifying, it's more so around here that you want the clean air to get your best run, but since it's just over a 20-second lap getting clean air with I think 16 cars, which isn't a lot, still 16 cars around here, won't be easy to try and get some clean air, so just have to hope that we get a bit lucky with the traffic. But taking a quick look at the standings now before we get into the important part of after Long Beach, which was looking like it was going to be a very good round, but then kind of plagued by the crash in race 3 with Jordan Kelly. Getting those 15 penalty points means I remain in 13th place now on 155 points, while up at the top Dylan Clements takes over the championship lead from Ronan Doherty. So with 2 rounds left to go, the top 10 is maybe still just within reach, but with the likes of Jordan, who is always very fast, who get a few good results and move up the standings in these last 2 races, as well as Camto, who joined the season late but has shown some really good pace, one of the front runners it seems, so they'll probably finish ahead of us. Maybe we can catch Andrew Murphy by season's end and move into the top 12, which would be within what I set as my target at the beginning of the season. I usually aim to try and be in the top 15. I feel like I've had some good pace points throughout this season, and feel like a top 10 could have been possible if some small things went a different way, but still it'd be nice to get my best result in an RTA season. But back to the desert of Arizona here now in Phoenix, and throughout this qualifying just been getting faster and faster with pretty much every lap that I've set, and now I find myself in second place just behind Jordan Kelly, and kind of reaching the limit of what I can do here now, and it shows as through the final corner, just getting a bit of a slide, pushing a bit too much, and end up crashing into the pit wall. And now trying to see if I can get back to the pits, because if I have to tow, which I did have to do, it means the car is going to fill back up with fuel, and yeah, we're probably not going to improve on our best time. See here now the last laps of qualifying, cars all over the place just trying to push to get their best lap as I start my final lap here now. And yeah, just through turn 1, getting a bit of understeer with a bit of a heavier car, a bit distracted there heading through the tri-oval into the final corner, then just getting so much understeer trying to push cars with speed, and we end up not improving. So in the end then, finishing in 5th place, 2/10 of Jordan Kelly. Very good lap by Jordan for somebody who doesn't enjoy ovals from what I was hearing in the Discord. But yeah, 5th place, not as good as my pole position in Indy, but just shows that I seem to have some decent pace at the ovals compared to some of the other lads. But still, the fast drivers will always be the fast drivers no matter what car or track you put them on. And yeah, hopefully heading into race 1 we can try and improve a couple of places, or even hold in 5th place would be a good result. But just looking at the gaps, the top 14 pretty much separated by half a second, so it's going to be a close race, and hopefully we can make it out the other side. So from the inside of the 3rd row here in the Grand Canyon State, we are getting ready to go for race 1 as the pace car pulls in, waiting for Jordan to go from pole position. And as he puts foot to the floor, we don't get the best start, and we are side by side with Campto into turn 1, and with the inside line. Campto with the outside line is able to carry more speed around the outside and manages to get that place up into 5th, pushing myself down into 6th, and now just trying to keep it clean, and hopefully we can get an opportunity to get that place back. But it was a pretty uneventful race as we skip ahead onto lap 6 here now, and behind in the mirror you can see Dara Halley has a run on me around the outside. There's a car up at the wall on turn 4, and on the exit self and Darren make a bit of contact, my front right to his rear left, and luckily I managed to survive, sent Darren into a spin and no damage from myself. But looking at a replay here, looking at Darren's car, it's me on the left hand side. I can see there just a small bit of contact, bit of net code, and then a pretty big crash after that, with people not slowing down when there's smoke up ahead. But yeah, unfortunate incident there, and I didn't end up getting a penalty for that, which I feel like is pretty reasonable. It's just one of those incidents that happens on oval racing. There was a lot more space for Darren to leave on the outside, but he decided to try and squeeze me a bit, and I ended up a bit wide and making contact. As we skip ahead to lap 16, that was Campto after having his own incident on the pitch straight, and I wasn't sure which way his car was going to go, so decided to commit to the inside, and luckily he didn't roll back too far and we managed to get through. And that was all that happened then pretty much for race 1. Come across the line to finish in 5th place. So 5th it was then, thanks to Campto having that incident, and it meant that the top 5 finished where they started. Jordan Kelly with a pretty commendable lead around an oval, 4.5 seconds pretty much over Conor Melia. David Ward behind me making up 3 positions, so he'll be somebody to watch in race 2, and hopefully we can keep him behind and get another top 5 finish. Race 2 then, again starting from the same position inside of row 3. Once again behind Rona Doherty and waiting for Jordan Kelly to go once again, which he does, and this time we get a better start. We're clear of David Ward. We kind of take the inside line there, and unfortunately Dylan comes back down into that gap that I had to check up a bit, didn't have enough clear air, and that allows David to sail around the outside of turn 1, once again losing a spot on the opening lap. Out of turn 4 then we get a bit of a run on David, have a look to the inside, but as we've seen on a few occasions now, outside is king, carrying the momentum, and I wasn't really sure that but before this race, but after these first opening 2 races kind of made me realise that if I want to try and make an overtake I need to get to the outside line of turn 1. Skipping ahead a couple of laps then to remain status quo for myself. Campto now behind. We know he has a lot of pace, and on the run into turn 1 he could have had a go down the inside there. Luckily for me he decides to back out. I will remain in P6. Jumping ahead a good few laps now on to lap 23. Just about 7 minutes left in this race, so about halfway through, and up ahead Connor and David are encountering some back markers, some lap traffic who I presume have had issues and ended up having to pit, and now they're coming out a couple of laps down. For IndyCar, especially at ovals, blue flags do not mean you have to get out of the way like they do in F1. They're just a warning that there is faster cars behind, and Nicky and Jamal doing what the blue flags mean. They're not getting out of the way, and I mean they're entitled to do that, but when you're holding up 4th, 5th, going to be 6th and 7th place, you're going a lot slower than the leaders. It's probably better off to not get too involved and just let everybody pass, and they're not even in a battle between themselves, Jamal and Nicky, so yeah,
That's half fuel. You've used
Hence
half your
the
fuel.
thumbnail of this video, Backmarker Chaos. It's helped us out. We managed to catch up to Connor and David as into turn 4. Jamal has a run on Connor. He looks around the outside. I thought he was going to try and get a move there. Luckily for everybody, he decides to kind of back out of it. But yeah, Jamal goes a bit wide in turn 1 there. I have a bit of a look down the inside, but wasn't able to get past. And now Jamal has another run on Connor into turn 4. Jamal goes really wide there. I expected him to just back out, but he decides to come back down.
Inside.
And we make contact. I end up upside down, and that is pretty much our race over. We're going to look at our replay here now on board with Jamal. You see how wide he is, and anybody else pretty much would have backed out there, but Jamal decides to come back down pretty much onto the racing line. Big incident there. I think that's Tony Stack who ended up upside down in the pit lane.
There's traffic on the exit. Keep it tight.
Yeah. We'll leave it there. Won't say anymore. I don't want to get myself in trouble or anything, but yeah.
We need to push if we're going to hold this
Back
position.
markers, poor racecraft, poor
Okay, Ken.
situational awareness.
When we exit the pits, we should
We
be
come
in
back out
position
into the pits,
12,
or out
behind
of the
Kelly.
pits onto the track. On our way out, had to lift off to let Jordan Kelly through. Didn't want to get involved with the leaders, and that allowed Dara Hall to get past. And unfortunately, we weren't able to get back past Dara, and we finish race 2 behind Dara in 13th place. So 13th it was then, 5 laps behind Jordan, who had an even bigger win this time over Ronan Doherty. A lot of movement up at the top this time. Conor Mealy losing 3 spots. David eventually got past Conor actually once they managed to take care of the back markers, and yeah, losing 8 places in 13th when we were running up in 6th and possibly could have got as good as 4th, but it is what it is. Hopefully we can try and make a few passes from the back and get another good result here too. So as we get ready to go for the final time here in Phoenix, and probably the last time for a while in RTA on an oval, further down the grid this time, so taking it nice and easy. Don't want to end up getting involved in some kind of brake checking and getting any damage this early in the race. So as we go green, the outside line is clear, but I decide to hold the inside. Up ahead there's a big contact. Jordan Kelly is no wing, so I lift off, but Jamal behind, as usual, doesn't lift off. Hits into the back of me, and I presume that I have no rear wing as well. As you can hear there, no rear wing for us, so had to come into the pits, and as we come back out we are behind 9th place Philip Upson. But one thing I haven't mentioned is, just like at Indy, there is a mandatory pit stop in this race, so luckily that is my pit stop out of the way as we get past somebody there with a lot of damage. Not sure who that was, but yeah, that is my mandatory pit stop done now. And even though I was complaining about lap cars, I think it was Dara Halley going very slowly there, trying to get to the pits. That is going to allow Nicky Meredith to have a look up her inside. But yeah, as I was giving out about blue flag cars in the last race, that was because they weren't fighting for any position, whereas in my case I'm a lap or 2 down, but once the cars that are a lap or 2 ahead of me make their pit stops, I'll be after making those laps back. So essentially, even though I am a lap behind, we are still fighting for position here on track once all the pit stops are done, as somebody is in the wall there. Luckily managed to avoid and have to take a big lift through turn 4. Thankfully they didn't roll back down the track into us. And behind Philip Upson here now, trying to get a move done because I feel like I probably have a bit more pace, and the more time I can make up here, the more it'll benefit me once pit stops cycle out. So managed to get past there as somebody else moves into the pits. and now we find ourselves back behind Jamal, so hopefully we can get past nice and cleanly here this time down the inside of turn 1, and we managed to get by, and now just trying to hunt down Emma, who is in a very good 4th place. Gary Corcoran sends it up the inside of turn 1 and then washes out wide. Not too happy with that, as you can see. You can get away with those kind of block passes on normal tracks, but very much frowned upon in oval racing. So yeah, one thing about these oval races is there's a lot of people with not a lot of experience, not a lot of respect for the etiquette of oval racing. So at the Indy 500 you have to do so many laps before you can take the race. I feel like could have been a good thing to enforce that you had to do the practice on the Monday beforehand for this race, and kind of have some sort of briefing for the understanding of racing etiquette at ovals for people that didn't really understand how to race around these. And I feel like it could have limited a lot of the incidents that we've seen both here at Phoenix and in the previous round at Indianapolis. I'm not running the league. They can run it in whatever way they want. They can make changes to have mandatory pit stops, change the track from this race was supposed to be at Daytona, change to Phoenix mid-season. Can't have solo qualifying or enforce people have some kind of confidence or experience racing at an oval track before getting on the track and being able to ruin other people's races. But anyway, moving on, we're still behind Emma and Gary, and I feel like we're getting very much held up at this stage and would like to get past. I'm just going to do so here now on the exit of turn 1, get a run on Gary, get down the inside. Unfortunately, being held up and being on the inside line is going to allow Brandon McCaughlin to sail around the outside. Very nice move there by Brandon, I have to say, and get that move done on me. We move up into 12th place with a few cars pitting, and you can see on the bottom left Nicky Meredith in 10th place. He was one of the cars that we were fighting while being a couple of laps down, so it just shows the importance of putting in good lap times, and it's coming back. We're a good length into this race now, and out of turn 1 I want you to look at the line that Emma up ahead takes. You can see that she takes the racing line out to the wall, and then she's going to slow right down to try and come into the pits. And before the race there was a bit of a briefing, and we were told that if you're coming into the pit you stay to the left hand side on the run into turn 4, so that cars behind know that you're coming into the pits. And Emma didn't do that there, and then slowed right down pretty much on the racing line and nearly came down on me. So yeah, like I said, a bit of practice, better briefing could have avoided a lot of incidents there, as we were lucky to not have a big one with Emma as she tried to get down into pit. Throughout this race I have been trying to save my tyres as well. It's a very tough track on the tyres, but it's still not worth getting them changed in the pits, and since I had to pit on lap 1 wouldn't have really made much of a difference anyway, so have been taking it a bit easy at times, and does allow mean that we are a bit slower as into turn 4. Dara Halley, who I don't think has pit yet, maybe he has and he's still a lap ahead, gets past because I lifted off a bit and tried to save tyres. And yeah, just trying to take it nice and easy. Also trying to save fuel, as I think I was a bit tight. Wasn't too bad because I did fill up when I was in the pits. I think I might have under fueled a little bit. It's a while ago since I did this race when I'm commentating it, so I can't fully remember all the details, but I do remember fuel saving at once. And the damage I got after touching the wall right here, after having to avoid Emma, I feel like it had a impact on car's top speed or on the handling, because I didn't feel as comfortable with the car after that incident as I did beforehand. But now we're we're coming up. You can see on the bottom right, Philip Upson right ahead of us now. When he came into the pits, he was 2 laps ahead of myself, and now we're going to overtake him for, I think it's 7th place. So just shows once again that I was right to fight the positions when I was a lap down, and hopefully we can try and hold it off now, because
P9.
9th place would be a very good result considering where I started and what happened throughout this race, especially on the opening lap. But heading into turn 1, and this is lap 46 with just under 5 minutes left, get a load of understeer, have to really get out of the throttle more than I would have liked, and that's going to allow Philip to get a run. Takes the outside line into turn 3 and 4, and he manages to get that move done pretty convincingly in the end. Yeah, that's kind of, this is when I thought that I might have had some kind of top speed issues, because that seemed like Philip had a lot more pace than me and was able to get that move done pretty quickly, and I think it's going to be the same fate for Conor Mealy behind. Now he is a couple of laps behind, seems to have some sort of issue as well, and pretty much identically to Philip, just a couple of laps later, out of turn 1 and 2, Conor gets a run. And I get a bit distracted there, touched the wall, but doesn't really make much of a difference as there's a car on the apron, I think, coming into the pits, so luckily it doesn't cause any kind of issues. But yeah, once again an easy overtake with, I think, more top speed, and then Roman Doherty going to do the exact same thing as Conor, taking the inside line, and it's well clear by the time we turn in for the final 2 turns, pushing myself down into 11th place. And then they say that things come in threes, so with just under a minute left now, about 2 more laps after this one, Jordan Kelly gets a run into turn 3 and 4 and gets the move done as well. So I definitely feel like I was lacking a bit of top speed here, or I had way more fuel than everybody else, and it was causing me to go a bit slower. There's no real defence for that, and we dropped to P11. But as we come to the end of the last oval race of the season, a few thoughts on this one. Phoenix was picked to replace Daytona because it was felt that it would be a bit less chaotic being at a short oval where you actually had to slow down for the corners rather than a flat out 100% all the time at Daytona. But turns out that when there's cars or drivers that don't have any experience at ovals whatsoever, it doesn't make any difference. They're going to find a way to crash and just send it into smoke up ahead on the track and understeer into cars, like I did on a few occasions. But yeah, it's just complete chaos throughout this race, and I thought that I was going to have a good chance at winning the race this season at the ovals. Didn't turn out that way, and to be honest, I'll be glad if RTA never come back to an oval again. So P11 it was then in the end, a lap behind Campto, who took a great win there. Dylan McClemens in second, just under a second behind, so close one for the win there. And moving up 2 places from where we started, just because of the chaos in that one. And yeah, disappointing really. Thought I could have got 3 top 5s, which would have easily been my best result in RTA, but it is what it is. And yeah, like I said, hopefully RTA don't return to an oval anytime soon, but if they do, hopefully people have a bit more common sense with doing a bit of practice and are actually able to drive at ovals a bit better. Obviously not everyone, there's a few, or most drivers are very competent drivers at any track and are able to race cleanly, but there's always the select few who show up a couple of minutes before the race, no practice, and cause complete chaos. But then looking at the standings after this one, heading into the final race of the season in 13th place, and like I said before the race, top 10 might have been in reach, but pretty much have to have a perfect weekend at Barber to get that. So might have to just set our sights on Andrew Murphy in 12th and try and get that place. Up at the top, Dylan McClemens and Ronan Doherty, the only two drivers now who can take the championship, and these are the points before drop rounds are included. There's 1 round per driver that gets dropped in a season, so I'm not sure how that works out or how the points are after that one, as it gets a bit complicated with that, and to be honest, if I don't have to deal with it, I don't really want to. So we'll have to wait till after the last race in Barber to see where we end up and whether Dylan or Ronan take the IndyCar Series Championship. But that is it for this one. Hope you did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the season finale at Barber. But until then, thanks for watching. See you then.